Welcome to Quality Geek videos. Learn about software testing. In this video, we are going to talk about only the introduction on software testing and various definitions under software testing. The trainer of this video has over 8 plus of experience in software testing, working in different reputed companies. Very good day, friends. Welcome to Quality Geek videos. In this video, we are going to talk about what is software testing. Especially, we are going to touch upon the concepts of manual testing. This video is going to be a high-level video on these topics. So let's begin the video. To understand what is software testing, we need to first understand what is a software. A software is a set of instructions or program which instructs a computer to perform a specific task. Say for example, take the example of a banking application. A banking application helps the customers to do banking transactions online. So in simple words, we can say any application which helps the customers to do transactions online is called a software. So we do have desktop applications as well. We have desktop softwares as well. We have web application softwares which helps customers to do the transactions online. So let's go ahead with other topics. So to understand the software testing, we need to understand what is a software development life cycle. So the software testing is one part of the entire software development life cycle. So what happens in a software development life cycle? Let's discuss in detail. To start with, there is a requirement analysis from the client or customer or whatever we call. So initially, say for example, one of the banking company wants to automate their software. They provide a requirement to the business analyst. The business analyst converts that particular requirement into a specific document, which is also called as SRS. So that particular document is collected and analyzed during analysis phase. Next comes is the design phase. So there are two types of design. One is high level design and the other one is low level design. In this video, we will restrict our discussions with high level design. So during high level design, what we do is we design the application architecture. So during this phase, the application architecture is designed, and then comes the development. So development is the phase where the code is developed, the actual application code is developed, and then comes the testing part. So we are going to concentrate more on testing. We are going to discuss more on manual testing phase, which is the fourth phase in this particular diagram. So next comes the maintenance testing. So once the application is released to the customer, maintenance testing comes into picture. So let's move ahead with the next slide. So let's start with the definition. What is the software testing? So software testing is a process of evaluating a software against a specified requirement. So as I said, we have in the example of banking application, we have the requirement from the customer saying he wants to automate his banking software. So whenever the requirement comes from the client, this particular requirement is developed into a software. So sometimes due to the involvement of a human, there are chances of error. So there comes the necessity of testing the software to check if it is as per the specified requirement. So this is the process which evaluates the software against the specific requirement from the client. So let's move on to the next slide. So typically we have two different types of software testing. Like one is the manual testing, or also called as black box testing, and the other one is called the structural testing or white box testing. So there is one more way of testing which is also called as automation testing. Since we are restricting this video to manual testing, we are not including that into this topic. So let's talk about what is a manual testing or a black box testing. The reason why it is called a black box testing is this testing is done without the knowledge of the actual code inside the application. So which is completely black, which is not visible. So the user, the tester tests the application as a user from the interface of the application without having much knowledge on the inside code of the application. Let's come to the structural testing or white box testing. White box testing is more about the internal testing, like the person having the knowledge of the code will do the white box testing. So let's move on to the next one. So we discuss about this. Like this is manual testing or black box testing. So manual testing is the process of manually testing the software for defects. It requires a tester to play the role of an end user, whereby they use most of the applicant's features to ensure correct behavior. As I said, the tester will play a role of a real-time user. He will try to log into the application, he'll try to use the application and see if it is being created as per the requirement of the customer. And he will also try to crash the application by giving different inputs, by giving different data, and he will try to validate that software. So as we discussed, white box testing is a method of software testing that tests the internal structures or working of an application as opposed to its functionality. In white box testing, an internal perspective of the system as well as programming skills are used to design test cases. So typically they will check the code coverage, the syntax usage, and the branching, the flow of data. All this comes under the white box testing. So in this video we are going to talk more about manual testing. So there is a question like why testing is required. So these are the few valid answers for this question. So the first thing is to ensure if the product is giving the desired output. The customer suppose wants a requirement, but an application which has been created is not meeting that requirement, will not give the 100% result. So that's why it is always important to ensure if the product is giving the desired output. The second thing which is very important is to ensure if it is as per the customer expectations. And the third thing is to ensure it will not cause any failure. For example, the IRCTC application, if you take about, so it has to support at least more than 10,000 users logging a single time, or maybe 1 million users. So if that doesn't support these many users, then it is called a failure. And the next thing is to ensure we capture the defects at the earlier stage to ensure it is rectified and delivered on time. So in software industry, there is a saying, the earlier you find the issue, it is easier and less expensive to fix. So it is always important to ensure that we capture the defects at the earlier stage and it is being fixed. And the next comes is the ensure early detection of defects in the software lifecycle, as the fixing of defects becomes costlier the more we delay the fixing time. So let's compare the black box testing versus the white box testing. This is the testing performed manually interacting with the application from outside, that is the GUI, which is graphical user interface. But the white box testing is performed with the knowledge of internal code. The next point is tested in comparison with the requirement of the customer on the manual testing. For the structural or the white box testing, it is performed on the internal code structure, branches, loop designs, and implementation. For black box testing, no knowledge of coding is required, but for white box testing, coding and architecture is definitely required. This concentrates more on the functionality of the application, that is manual testing, and white box testing focuses on the correct implementation of code structures, branches, conditions, loops, etc. So, friends, like on the upcoming videos, we are going to discuss more about test scenarios and test cases. Defects are also called as bug lifecycle, test case template and defect template, software testing lifecycle, software development modules. We talked about software development lifecycle. In the upcoming video, we'll definitely discuss what are the different models of software development. We can also cover what is smoke testing versus sanity testing. We'll first discuss what is smoke testing, then discuss what is sanity testing, and then the difference between these two. Typically, people used to have a confusion between these two, and we have levels of testing techniques, regression testing, and then we'll have discussions on bug, defect, and error. Then comes about types of testing, retesting versus regression testing. So typically people have doubts between these two, so we'll discuss both these definitions separately, and then we'll discuss what are the difference between these two. And then comes the test plan, estimation techniques we'll discuss, and more on the manual testing concepts. So friends, for now, goodbye. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to videos. Thank you once again.